I'm Kieran Powell, EVP of Channel V Media, and we're here at Groceryshop 2023. I'm joined by ShiSh from Microsoft. So ShiSh, tell us a little bit, what are you hearing from retailers and what can we kind of expect to see in the next 18 months with retailers adopting technology?
Retailers are trying to differentiate themselves, they're trying to innovate, and startups are at that point where they're doing a lot of innovation. So what we're seeing right now is AI, obviously still the number one conversation we're seeing out there. So there's a lot of startups doing innovative things with generative AI and AI. At the same time, they're also taking some of the things that is already being done in retail, but doing it in more innovative ways with Gen AI.
This year we've seen ChatGPT just kind of light a fire under everyone. How is machine learning and linguistics models impacting retail media? What are you seeing and what do you think is going to happen in the future?
AI is going to fundamentally change the search experience when you go to that website, whether it's you're going through Instacart or you're going, to Safeway.com. I think you're going to see over the next couple of years that it probably just as rapidly as it's come on in the last 8 months, it's going to change the search experience. The organic results, the way that shoppers interact is going to be massive. And the retailers are already using it on the back end to optimize for margin, product availability, all of it.
So much potential for how generative AI can remove friction and provide a great customer service experience. So for us, our savers that are getting those cashback rewards, how can we make sure if they have questions, if they were missing something that they were looking for cash back on, what role can AI play in that process is a really exciting space.
And the one area that I saw a lot of interest in and multiple startups in is meal planning and recipes and all of that. Using, again, AI, Gen AI, to help people plan their meals for the week based on personalization, based on diet and a lot of these things. And I at least probably met about 6 startups in that space. So that's, again, a huge innovation in the grocery space.
We can generate recipes that are customized either for the uses of a customer or all the way down to an individual consumer. And so we're generating those with all the guardrails, understanding. They said they're paleo-pescatarian, they're trying to eat Mediterranean, they're trying to cut down on sodium, and we can translate all of that into something that gets built in. So that, that's the ability to generate content, and that's going to be important for helping the shopper find the right foods. What's for dinner? But it's going to be equally important for all the brands and retail media because you need to be able to create a context for your product that is meaningful for the consumer. And now we could do that essentially in real time and create something that's just for you.
Media is transitioning from being a sort of awareness tool and a marketing sort of tool to being actually actionable, and transactions can occur within media. So between media becoming more flexible and actionable and generative AI, what we see happening is just like this Minority Report scene that I look at, I think, just about every day, where Tom Cruise goes into the Gap and this hologram pops up when he walks in and it knows who he is. It scans his eyeballs. We don't need to do that. We can use your device ID to know who you are, and says, hey, how'd those tank tops work out for you, right? So it knows not just who he is, but his purchase history, what he likes. So he could touch that media, he could talk to it and say, oh, those tank tops were too tight, right? Media of the future will understand him and be able to communicate to the Gap systems or any system, and then be able to say, what did he get last time? Medium? He said it was too small. Do we have large? Do we have his favorite color? Let me see if we'll take a discount. Let me charge him and ship it to him instantly. That's where we see media going, including in the retail space.
Over the last few years, we've seen a massive shift in consumer expectations. What are you hearing from retailers?
I think that's very similar to the needs and to the desires of retailers, that consumers want to have a checkout process or a shopping experience what is smooth, where they can find the items, what they are looking for, and where they find a process what is suitable for their individual behavior or individual preference. And this starts with finding the right items, getting the right promotions, what are tailored for the individual shopper types. I think everyone wants to see what's in there for them. But also this continues on the shop, on the retailer shop floor, up to the checkout, where you want to get this process done as fast as possible and as most important, as frictionless as possible.
Kroger's CEO gave a talk this morning, but he talked about what their three things are: customer satisfaction, creating great products and values for their customers, giving their employees satisfaction in the job, and helping with technology to do that. And they're there to help the customer. So they're walking around and giving customers help in the store.
Yeah.
And because now the technology allows that customer to check out themselves. So that's one way of redeploying staff. And the other way is that with our cart technology, the store doesn't have to set up a new space for self-checkout. So they don't have to take away merchandising space. And that's really the tablet with retail media. So brands that want to have access to the customer at the point of sale, at the shelf point, we give that opportunity for the store to have the brand push a coupon, push an ad, push a notification right onto the tablet at the point of location. So that's a new opportunity for stores to monetize that.
The broader macroeconomic environment is something that's really top of mind for our CPG brands. And when we think about that, we think about a couple of things. One, we think about inflation. So 95% of our brand marketers are worried about inflation. And 71% of those same brand marketers say that the broader macroeconomic environment influences their decisions about how much to spend. The other thing that's actually right around the corner when you think about 2024, 75% of our brand marketers are already starting to think about the presidential election cycle and how much noise that's going to be creating in the market and influencing their ability to really reach consumers during a time when messaging is really crowded and it's really hard to get share of voice.
Price savviness is becoming a trend at the stage. We're seeing more and more customers are purchasing products at a better price and taking price as a first factor to consider a brand. So given the economic conditions that we're actually getting into and affordability becoming a big factor, pricing is going to be a barrier for the retailers to attract more and more customers.
For retailers that are seeing, a reduction in staff, pressure on margins, have you got advice for them? Like, what do they need to be doing over the next year, 18 months?
I think during COVID, everybody thought the buying behavior was going to stay the same. It's snapping back to a reality that retailers are having to deal with. I think there are so many, AI being one subject, retail media technology being another, all aspects. There's so much that they want to do, but they're now doing it in a tighter economy. Many of them have, sometimes laid off 1/3 of their staff from, what they grew during COVID and now had to kind of more to right size. And so the priority for retailers is going to be back to some, I would say, the fundamentals. What is going to drive the best shopping experience and the most profitable incremental new revenue for our company? That is, I know, paramount in grocery, but in all retail verticals right now.
We're seeing many retailers being hit hard with shoplifting, shrink, theft, etc. This is somewhat addressed by some retailers that are locking away products or tucking them behind closed doors, whatever, counters, etc. That's not the way to address this. Addressing the pain by placing a Band-Aid on an open wound is not going to solve any problem. It might, at best, help you to lose less money in the short term, but it's definitely not going to be a long-term solution to be adopted. I would say try to think creatively. Create new experiences for customers that allow you to, number one, meet them where they want to be met, but also be able to offer them the products that they want without too much friction.
Fundamentally, retailers are trying to meet customer needs, and customer needs are changing over time and changing really quickly when you look at what's happening from macroeconomic standpoint, inflation, cost changes, and how those are changing consumer behavior. So they have to stay out in front of and be able to predict and forecast where it's going, right? And being able to understand where their customers are going to be shopping and how they're going to be changing into the future.
What are some of the conversations you're hearing from a sustainability, environmental perspective?
Being that, we kind of live in that, I would say, freight truck world, and around that, what we're seeing is a lot of movement to how do you electrify a fleet, at least a part of the fleet. You see that with some of the organizations here like BrightDrop and some of those guys who've done a good job of kind of finding that niche. Anything we can do to get some of those big haulers off the road and, electrify some of these trucks, I think it's a good thing.
So we're standing in the BrightDrop Zevo right now. By the way, BrightDrop is a wholly owned subsidiary of General Motors. And what we have is a fully electric last mile commercial vehicle. And the cool thing about this is not only is it good for the environment, but it's great for your bottom line. So it actually is great for your P&L and great for the bottom line. So you're looking at a vehicle that'll cost you about $10,000 or more less per year in operating costs than your traditional diesel vehicle. And so you got companies that are looking at how can they be good environmentally, but also how can they impact their bottom line? You're standing in it right now.
I think one thing that's become clear is this is not a one-size-fits-all sort of market anymore.
And now, as we look to almost 2024, consumers are demanding more, which is in turn putting pressure on retailers and brands and fulfillment providers and us as technology companies to really push the boundary and to keep innovating.